Fantastic conversation between Oliver Tuzik and Tom Gruber. Nish, I've taken so many notes here, I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to begin with one thing that Oliver said at the very beginning, and he said there are three priorities when it comes to technology into the future today. Number one is AI, number two is AI, number three is AI.
I think we might have mentioned AI
once
today.
or twice here this week, but I love when I hear it from the keynotes as well, because that tells us there is a reason that we're hearing about it in literally every area, whether it's in FSO or in security or in network or over in DevNet territory, even within sustainability. How AI is helping us to lower energy use and become more efficient as a society, and I absolutely loved that.
For sure. I mean, I think actually Tom just said, or no, it was Oliver. Oliver was the one that said, with Cisco's AI Index, which is a report that we recently released,
yes,
every single person that they interviewed is saying they are looking to understand AI. Nobody's like, I don't care about this. Everybody cares about it. But only 14% of customers have a solid plan of how they're going to use it, how they're going to make an integral part of their business, and use it to impact customer experience and everything that they do. So that's really interesting. I think there's so much more to come with AI, and I think this week we've seen so many great innovations. Cisco really is a leader in this space and really innovating. We've seen Outshift. I know you love to interact with the Outshift team.
I do.
Our incubation engine, who are really trying out all these new innovative things around AI and all these different use cases, which is great to see.
Absolutely. I'm going to cut you off for just a moment, because before everybody heads on out of the keynote space, I want to go over to Rob Boyd and Cedric Devalder, who are outside the keynote. Hello, my friends.
Actually, we're just coming out.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think you
Running
can
a
see
bit
us
late.
right now. We're almost there at the end.
I see a light. I think this is our camera guy up here.
Perfect.
Oh,
Great. Yeah, so as you said, Steve,
getting run over.
coming out of the keynote right now. Don't fall down, Rob. Like, we still need you tomorrow.
I know.
Okay, I'm good. But I think it was a really awesome keynote, like, to have Tom with us and to learn more about AI. And I think, you know, what Oliver said about, he asked him the question that the last 2 years, it really skyrocketed, right? So what do you think about that?
Well, I love the fact, first of all, that we hired a technologist for this, and that we didn't have just simply a celebrity. I think that's easy to do, and it's something, obviously, we all enjoyed getting to see someone famous. But famous to us are people who invent things like Siri, and the way in which it's changed over time, because I think Siri's an interesting, it was so ahead of its time, and then, but suddenly it felt like it was a little bit behind. I think you said, hey, I'm waiting for this to break out. And he literally charted how we've already seen differences as we got into transformer models, the GPT, you know, started improving, and we're going to see more of that, I believe. And
it's also, he described a little bit of where the name Siri is coming from, right? So Rob, so give us a little bit more detail about that.
So one of his co-founders is Norwegian, and I believe they were, you know, of course, doing all the testing you would go through for something like this, knowing that you needed a name that worked well in multiple languages, was easy to spell and say in all these different places, didn't accidentally mean something obnoxious or wrong. And so they came up with this. He was actually going to name his child Siri, but he ended up having a boy. So Siri didn't stick with that, but it did stick for the product.
Okay, that's actually quite an interesting
anecdote.
It means
beautiful. Wait, what does it mean? Hold on, I'll get my notes out, but keep talking.
You get your notes out. I'll just keep talking. As you can see, like, people are just coming out. I think it was super busy in the keynote space as well. I think the performance in the beginning was also pretty cool.
Beautiful woman who leads you to victory. That was worth looking up.
Beautiful
that's
woman.
What Siri means, a beautiful woman who leads you to victory.
Okay, great. What else have you like written down in your notes,
Rob? Let's see. I'm going to check my notes. What, you making fun of my notes?
No.
Let's see. That was on Siri origination. Oh, I thought this was interesting. So he was searching for, I don't know if he was searching, but he's talking about a metaphor and talks about the danger of it becoming Big Brother. And he put forth the argument that we should think of it as Big Mother, and that there's someone that really knows you but cares about you, and thus is going to provide guidance for you with that level of detail that a mother would, versus like the connotation of an Orwellian big daddy, big father, big daddy. Yeah. Anyway, are we throwback?
Yeah, we're throwing back to you, Steve.
Great, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. We're going to come back to you. Do not go anywhere. Stay put. Nish, I want to go back to what you and I were talking about a moment ago. Another thing that I love that Oliver said up there at the top that I think is so vital that we all keep in mind, he said somewhere between being full of passion, full of energy, and full of inspiration, and then somewhere in confusion and frustration and concern. And that's really where people find themselves in AI today. But I think he then sort of wrapped it up, and he came back to say that AI is an augmentation of the human, not a replacement for the human. I think this is a very important point that Tom made.
Absolutely. I heard Gene say that in the interview that you had with him earlier as well, right? I love the human aspect of this. I love when we see innovative technologies, but you really do have to marry it with the human side of it and how we as human beings are actually going to use this technology. The other thing that was said in the keynote just now from Tom was around inclusion and diversity.
Yes.
Diversity with AI. And he said something I noted down. He said, we have a really great future ahead. It's the greatest technology ever created. And the best bit is that it's available to everybody.
I think he compared it to fire and what else did he say? Baked bread. I can't remember what the other one was that he said.
Sliced bread, probably.
That's something
like
along
that.
those lines.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. And I know tomorrow morning I'm going to get to sit down and we're going to talk a bit more about inclusion and diversity. But I love that that is something that we're very consciously thinking about and being intentional about here at Cisco. Is not only using AI in the best ways, or the most efficient ways, but how do we make it secure? How do we make it ethical? How do we make it responsible? And how do we make sure that it's inclusive?
Tom also leveled the playing field, and I loved something that he said a bit here toward the end. He talked about if you are currently a low-level AI user, you might want to consider becoming a high-level AI user, right? It's not that we're here to replace the human, it's that we have this golden opportunity, every one of us, no matter what your job title is, no matter where you happen to be within your organization, whatever your knowledge of AI is today, get good at it as quickly as you can, because that is where not only the job security is going to come from, it's where the leadership is going to come from, and it's what I love that we are doing here at Cisco.
For sure. I mean, use AI more than to set your oven timer. Like, the biggest takeaway from today, if you're brand new to AI.
You know what, Tom talked about that too. He said we should do the interesting stuff and we should let AI do the boring stuff.
Yes.
And that's what you're talking about right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, let's come back out to you over in the RF space, if you can still hear me out there, Rob and Cedric.
Yep. Steve, we are still here, as you can see.
Yep.
That's me. We're still here just outside of the keynote space. We wanted to stay a bit. Rob is going to tell us a little bit more about his
I got more
famous
notes. I'm excited, yeah.
So just go for that.
Well, here's the term that jumped out at me that he used was augmented cognition. And this hit home for me because funny enough, as I was taking notes, I would pick up on terms and I put them into ChatGPT to kind of expand on it as I'm kind of reading through it. But the reason why it jumped out at me is one of the upcoming uses that I'm looking at these large language models for is in the area of therapy and the way in which you can interact and the way it has short-term memory for this as you go back and forth. But I've been experimenting with the notion of you can literally add your journals and say, what am I missing? Or of a specific school of thought, and then kind of go back and forth. So sometimes at the end of a day, I will go back and let ChatGPT in this particular instance interact in the verbal sense, and I'll say, quiz me about my day, and then let's start breaking that down. And then we go back and forth, literally talking. It's all recorded. I can add it to my journal, but it also helps me flesh out the details by having someone help me with it. Does that make sense? Augmented cognition.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I think also now I know where your scripts are coming from, ChatGPT.
Oh, it's definitely a tool. But just as he said too, it's like I enjoy the writing, but my gosh, it's a great assistant. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're just going to see so much more coming from the AI field. And I think at Cisco as well, the announcements that we made here at the conference are also very AI-driven. I think, Steve and Nish, we're going to come back to you.
I think that's great. Rob, you were telling me how you were using this in terms of your own personal psychology, and I really loved that idea. I don't know if you heard what Rob was just saying there, but what a fantastic idea. We can put this to work for ourselves as well. So it's not just as simple as ChatGPT learning what we want or us asking it questions and it's spitting a bunch of content back out at us. This is potentially a tool for betterment if used properly.
For sure, and I think what Rob just said about the example, a very personal example rather than maybe a business example, which is around journaling. Would you want to trust the platform that you're using? Would you want it to be secure? Would you want it to be responsible? Like, that applies to every single aspect of AI. And I think obviously, if businesses, they always have customers. They're human beings at the end of the day. So the experience that those businesses create, I think trust is a really key word here when it comes to AI as well. And I think every human being, you build relationships based on trust. And I think that's what they're going to have to do moving forward with AI is these platforms and the way that AI is integrated into businesses, it's going to have to ensure that customers have a level of trust with that organization.
Perfectly put, Nish. And again, we've been hearing it again and again. We heard it in the keynote yesterday morning that trust is the big part of making AI what we want it to be and taking control of it for better outcomes. So perfectly said. We are on our way out of the Wednesday show. I can't even believe it. However, we are going to be waiting right back here for you tomorrow morning. An amazing day ahead. I want to take a quick moment to thank my co-hosts, Nish Parker, amazing. Rob, Cedric, I'll wave to all of you out there as well. Thank you for bringing us the story, to our incredible Cisco TV crew all around us here, but mostly we always want to thank you for being here with us on the broadcast. This is for you. All of the creative content that we deliver here, it is for your benefit, your payoff, and it's to bring you all of the value of Cisco Live 2024 Amsterdam. Please keep reaching out to us on social media using hashtag Cisco Live EMEA. If you missed anything, you're going to find all the content waiting for you at ciscolive.com, so go and check that out. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night. We are going to see you right back here in the studio first thing tomorrow morning. Take care.